stop playing. Sisters, y'all need to stop playing. Y'all need to go on that Piff or mixtape.com and look up Moors on the Move. My brother Cyrus Hill, my brother Terrence Hopkins Bay, and a bunch of other Moors on there doing their thing. I play one aim, one God, one aim, one destiny all the time. One destiny, man. That's where we at with this, man. Even with this show right here, we're not talking about a whole bunch of confusion. We're talking about laying the law down as taught by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. So let me bring it down before I bring it up. Welcome to another edition of Moorish World TV. First and foremost, as always, before I rise on my feet in the morning and before I rise and address the people, I like to raise my thoughts to infinite wisdom and give praise to the great God of the universe. And when I say the great God of the universe, my brother Conrad, whether you see God by the name of Allah, or whether you see God by infinite being, whether you see God by the Hebrew name, or whether you see God by the indigenous name, we in the Moor Science Temple of America, we call the Almighty God Allah, the causeless cause and the rootless root, from which all things have grown. We give praise to the cause that makes your heart beat, I always say. See, you ain't got to plug your heart in. Whatever makes your heart beat, that's what we give praise to. It just don't start beating by itself. It just don't continue to beat by itself. What that is, that's what we give praise to. When we say Allah, don't associate me with no desert Arab. Please don't. Subhanallah, astaghfirullah if you think I'm wrong, but I'm just saying, don't associate me with that. Allah is the causeless cause and the rootless root from which all things is grown. And I give praise to the entity that woke all y'all up today, because there ain't no alarm clock do nothing. I give honor to his noble, illustrious prophet Noble Drew Ali, because if it wasn't for him, it wouldn't be no me. The me that you see wouldn't be. I'm trying to tell you now. And I give honor to all those who doing their work to uplift the fallen humanity. And when I say fallen humanity, charity starts at home. I'm speaking about fallen humanity as it relates to my family, your community, as well as your nation. Charity starts at home. With that being said, we're going to open up this show tonight. And we opened up the show tonight because some things have been left unsaid. Some things have been left to go by the wayside. We see that last time we did the show about the brother nationalizing the European, that we went all over the place. We talked about this. We talked about that. We even talked about the brother said that the brother was nationalized as a member, but on the flip side, he can't get on the podium. So what's the point of becoming a member if you can't participate and reap the rewards of being a member? Well, that's another story. That's another story. Tonight, I got a brother on here from Cali. That says that he want to speak his piece to the topic. And I say, you know what? I still hear this stuff going around. I still hear people trying to still perpetuate the ideal, not only the ideal to nationalize a European, but it's okay to go all out. It's all out. It's okay. You know, forget home. Forget the little babies in the street. Let's just go cross the street and fix that first. And then we can fix everybody. Because everybody got a problem. Every problem is equal. My problem is no greater than the other people's problem. So let's fix that. With that, I'm going to let my brother bring himself in and introduce himself to the family. I hope y'all ready for this because we're going in heavy. I want y'all to buckle up because we're going, y'all probably be like, man, is this brother turned up like that all the time? Most of the time. Anyway, I want y'all buckle up, man. I got my brother in the chat, my brother, Stephen Allen Bay. Islam, my brother, are you there?
Islam, I'm here.
Hey, bro,
you hear me?
Excuse me for all this yelling. This is what I do. I want people to be excited about more science like I am one day. I don't know if everybody got that energy. But anyway, my brother, introduce yourself. Let the people know three things. Your name, where you're from and your history with the Moorish Science Temple of America so that we can qualify who we talking to. Islam?
Islam. 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 Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you very well.
All right, Islam. I'm Stacy Allen Bay from Los Angeles, California. Temple number 77. Islam. I've been in the movement since 2001, October 5th. It was a Friday when the Mo came in. Praise Allah for that. Mo been studying with Taj Tariq and Jackson Neal and certain Moors since like 97. But after Mo started studying for a while and Mo was in college and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, playing basketball. And then the Mo was just in school studying. Mo was in dental school and certain things like that. Mo wanted to further himself and what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was talking about. So I needed to find the nearest temple. So I had went to the temple. So I got my first start in the Moorish Science Temple of America and temple number 24 under the guidance of Brother Lane Ill, Sheikh Morton Ill, Brother Satar Ill, Islam.
Hey, brother, hold on, let me stop you right there. Now, Morton Ill, that's my tall Moor, right?
Islam.
Hey, Morton Ill, real quick, off topic. Morton Ill told me one day, he said, Moor, why you always wearing them European garbs? You need to wear your Moorish garbs. Shout out to my brother, Morton Ill in California. Hey, brother, one day I came late, right? This, I don't know if this is a secret or not. Well, one day I came late to an ADAP meeting, right? And the brother chewed me up. Oh, my goodness. And he pulled me to the side. All of this hypeness went out the door. He said, brother, come here. This how he looked at me more. He looked at me and said, brother, you have been in the movement too long to be late. I said, bro, I got caught in traffic. That's not an excuse. Shout
That's
out.
my chick, man. Islam. So now you know what. Now you know the type of cloth I came from. Not only that, when I first got into the movement, I was only in for a couple of months till the Mo's took them all to Chicago. Like we had to get right on the road. And actually, Brother Victor Tellerill was one of the Mo's that went with us. As soon as Mo's got in, they took Mo's out on the road. So Mo's been going around the country seeing Moors for a long time, Islam and with Brother Morton Neal. But at the same time,
yes, sir.
At the same time, he's right about the Moorish guard thing. You know what I'm saying? Because Morton Neal, he started getting his clothes made, so I'm gonna leave him alone about that. But the Mo used to always be in them Arab garbs walking around. That's why Baby Boy in that movie, you know what I'm saying? They put on that Arab garb because the Mo was walking around in the Paki demonstration. Islam. Hey, but he got it together.
I'm telling you, you have been in the movement too long for this. Come on, brother. Praise Allah. Shout out. Honor to my brother.
Yeah, there's some good Moors out here in California, but at the same time, you know, from the teachings that we had from them days, you know what I'm saying, Moors was a little strict, you know, very strict when it comes to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Islam. So within them times, we used to have certain things like Moors used to be afraid of the Holy Quran of Mecca. It was like Moors wouldn't talk about it. It was something that it was almost like taboo at that time. So, you know, I had to be one of the ones to start pushing that taboo up out of the way because the Prophet Noble Drew Ali put that on our nationality card and let us know that we under the divine laws of the Holy Quran of Mecca. So Moors around the nation need to start tapping into that stuff a little bit more. Islam. And so we had a lot of, you know, out here in California, Moors must understand when you come out here, a lot of times a lot of Moors that come into the Moorish Science Temple of America as well, they're under the tutelage of their teachers. So a lot of the times, a lot of Moors don't really go into the lessons of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali all the time. They're still under the guidance of one of those teachers and those teachers' thoughts. Islam, and all of the time, that's not good because Allah, you know, he gives the gifts of understanding to every man, right? And so, and it's between themselves, you know what I'm saying? So at that same time, Moors need to understand certain things like this topic that we're about to get on about this pushing this European demonstration. You understand what I'm saying? See, out here in California, we understand protocol. So you're supposed to have a certain protocol and guidelines when we demonstrate in the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? Because we Act 1, Grand Sheikh and the chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the grand body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So it's certain things that we just don't do as Grand Sheikhs by ourselves. Islam.
That's right. That's right.
When McDonald's, which is have a parent corporation, and when they set up their subsidiary corporations out throughout the world, that subsidiary corporation can't just go open up its own. It has to report back to the parent corporation. Islam. So I'm not saying that there's only one temple or one Moorish Science Temple of America, but we all know that we had different brothers and sisters that came up out of the guidance of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And Moors would like to say they went their own ways, but it's not really going their own ways. Is those Moors had a gift of understanding that Allah gave them when they were up under the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and they took that and went out. Islam. But at the same time, we're not trying to do anything that's going against the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So when certain Moors start doing certain things that's outside of protocol, like for instance, when you're made an Ada of the Moorish Science Temple of America, like it says on the back of our 101, to anoint, appoint, and consecrate members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? They are supposed to be under the guidance of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and establishing the faith of Muhammad in America. But it's a guideline to how this thing is being established. So when you have a certain body of Moors that brought you in, this is for whichever body Moors want to talk about. But these Moors brought you in and demonstrated with you, and then you went out, and certain Moors, like what happened out here, they just stopped messing with all of the Moors, and then they went out and just did their own thing and never branched out. So Moors always want to know, yo, what's up with our per capita tax? What's up with the dues? What we doing with everything? You know what I'm saying? So certain Moors had to reach back out to all of the Moors all around, so we can start linking back up with all of our Moors and make sure that we have this unity demonstration going on amongst all of us. Islam under the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and under Allah, of course. So here in California, you got certain Moors that just want to separate themselves from everybody and make sure that they just do their thing here. But at the same time, where are you deriving this power and authority from? You got certain Moors just doing a whole bunch of things like this demonstration we talk about tonight. How are you going to nationalize a European inside the Moorish Science Temple of America and then say you're going to teach him his nationality? Are you from that country? Because man knows not about being told. If man would know, he must be what he knows. If you're Irish, then you could be able to teach this man his Irish history. And then you would have to do that in an Irish organization. That has nothing to do with the Moorish Science Temple of America. We are teaching love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice to all nations and all land. We're not nationalizing all nations and all land. We're teaching them love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Islam.
Islam. So, Moor, let me ask you a question. When you and I spoke, and you said, you actually wanted to speak to the topic of nationalizing and the things that's going on, in particular with the European. Have you ever been to that organization or temple before?
Yeah, well, actually, that temple right there started at my house.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, on Angeles Vista. And Brother Taylor Hill was going around the nation, learning, doing this thing like he liked to do, go around and learn, collect books. That's what we into. When he came back here, I was like, yo, we got to get the temple started because, we wasn't no longer going to the temple that we was going to because things just started going into shambles. So, but we had the teachings. We got our nationality cards. It's up on us to stand up and be men and demonstrate our measure, make sure we take care of our children. So I'm like, Mo, we need to start teaching, demonstrating the measure of my house. Then we're going to link back up with some Moors of Chicago. You know what I'm saying? What we can do, make sure we go through the chambers and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Get certain things passed down to us in the order. So the fact that when we're questioned, all we have to do is say where we got the demonstration from. Islam. Right. So we look for the elders, because we already know Bailey Ill, and we love Bailey Ill. We already had New Brazzle Bay. And so those were our connections. You know what I'm saying? I had talked to some other Moors, but I mainly already knew those Moors. So I went to those Moors first. Islam. So then we started demonstrating the temple measure. Then that started causing friction because just so happened that our old temple that we was at was down the street.
So let me ask you a question real quick, before you go too far. And
I'm gonna go too far.
And I'm an interrupter. I don't mean to, but let me make sure everybody can hear me. Can y'all hear me? Let me make sure they can hear me first. I'm gonna turn my mic up a little bit. Let me see. Y'all can hear me? Y'all can hear me? All right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, family? Let me see if y'all can hear me.
Yeah.
Check. You can hear me? All right. All right, so check it out. Um, see, I don't want this ring on me. When you what I was gonna say. Ah, man, I lost my thought. Hold on. Okay. So
Your question was, was I ever at that temple before?
yeah. But when you were at the
Yeah.
temple, right? Um,
Uh-huh.
what was the name of the temple? What's the name of that temple right now? Let's get to the. I'm getting to the
The
temple.
name of the temple right now that I know is it's called the Moorish. It's the Moorish Post.
Okay.
So outside of you got the Moorish Post. When you go inside of the temple, you got charters and stuff all signed by that one Grand Sheikh. So it's kind of confusing when the community is not understanding that when you're saying you're not dealing with Moors, you're not a part of the Moorish Science Temple of America, but at the same time, when you go inside the measure, you got the Constitution and bylaws, you got a charter up, and you're giving out nationality cards, like the same picture that we saw what he was doing with the European. And we know that that's out of law. Act 6 says all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. Moses on your show talk about they're going to teach an Irish man their divine creed.
Right. Look, before we move too fast, what I'm trying to establish is the temple in which this was done is called a Moorish post. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or they call it it's either the Moorish Post or the Moorish Science Temple 101. Either one you choose.
Okay, so somebody said the Moorish Post consulate. Is
right?
That
that's what they're going under now, because the brother took a trip to Morocco, and then when he was over in Morocco, he decided to CC all of us a letter talking about nobody in America has any authority for the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Moorish Science Temple of America is just a school, and so forth and so forth. And I'm not even a part of that administration.
So that's why they kept saying this is a school. Now it makes sense. Now it makes sense.
See, what happens is Allah gives to each man his own understanding, like we was just saying. And so I started venturing off, going into Sufi teaching, start getting along, because I seen that in their teachings, they were talking about alignment is one and certain things like that. So I gravitated more of that to that, because the teachings were just like ours, period. That's it. So even one time I was at convention over there with Brownsville Bay and them, I went to the store, and then I ran to Sheikh Rashid Matthews.
Bro,
right? When I ran into the brother,
Chicago, right?
Hold on. When I ran into the brother, that's when I started, knowing him and started getting in contact with that. But anyway, to make a long story short, over in that temple, man, it's all type of stuff going on, man. So right now, even with that Moorish Orthodox Church demonstration, that's all supposed to be Sufism. But Sufism, that stands from Islamism. So that has nothing to do with the church at all, because we're trying to give the church back to the European nations, because it was founded by our forefathers for them, for their earthly salvation. It's not a diss, it's not a bag or anything like that. We're just returning that to them because it wasn't prepared for us. Bottom line.
So what I want to get to is that now things are becoming clear to me. A little bit more clear, because the brother wasn't making it that clear. He just kept saying it was a school, it was a school, it was a school. So it's a Moorish post. Well, and
let me answer that. Let me answer that. The reason why I was saying that is when you start going into Sufism or you start studying Islam, you have these different schools of thought. They call madrasas, right? So now that one start getting, so to speak, going into their Islamic deen, so to say, now the Moorish Science Temple of America, it's just a school that teaches nationality.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
That's because I understand a lot of people read the little book, the little pamphlet, and they think that the little pamphlet don't have big information and they got to go elsewhere. It happens. It's okay. But nevertheless, if they study that, they actually could really get in tune with their latent powers, because this book or this pamphlet actually was divinely prepared in due time, in our era of time, for our specific problem, for our specific problems. So even if a person want to
Right.
venture out into other doctrines, it really was not handcrafted for your specific problem. Maybe your universal problem, but not your specific problem. This was handcrafted for a specific problem. But I get it. But now that y'all started the temple, you say y'all started in your house. Once y'all started in the house, where did the crossroad come? Whereas though, and I don't want to call no names. I'm talking about an ideal, because
Yeah,
I
it's
the ideal.
because those are my brothers. Let's you know what I'm saying? We just all brothers. And you'll see that if you read Islamic history, how certain branches of Moors branched off. Just like the Moorish Orthodox Church is supposed to have branched off from Temple number 13, right? But at the same time, when the Moors branch off and do their demonstration, it's supposed to be within the confines, or at least given authority by the Moorish Science Temple of America to be able to address that situation, whether it's chartered, you understand what I'm saying? But it wouldn't be called a church. It would just be these Moors, you know what I'm saying, that got this school, this madrasa that they're opening up for those Moors that want to attain into a Sufi thought, right? You have another Moor that might want to go into a Buddhist thought. You understand what I'm saying? So we have all of those type of thoughts inside the Moorish Science Temple of America, because you can see that all those people were us, so to speak. Islam.
Right.
So the difference came in ideology, where it's just law. And I think that that's where a lot of times, a lot of things go different within Moors, because Moors have different concepts. You know, Moors have a lot of knowledge, but a lot of times their concepts is wrong. Islam. So it came with me one time. It was in Sunday school when the Moor said that the executive authority. He asked who had the most power in the United States. Was it the executive branch, the judicial branch, or the legislative branch? Right? And I said, there is no one has the most authority. That's Marbury versus Madison. You know what I'm saying? And that's where they had that issue at in that court decision, to where there is no one power over the next. Simple. The Moor went against me because he was saying that the executive rulers of the Moorish Science Temple of America are the ones that are able to make law and enforce law. And I was saying that's not the question that's pertaining to on the table right now. We're talking about the United States government, or the United States of America government. And right here, you're talking about the Moorish Science Temple of America. Those would be two different officers. Islam. So when he tried to actually prove that the executive authority of the United States had the most authority because the president can execute an executive order, that doesn't mean that that executive order next can be overturned, or that the Congress veto it. Islam. So simple stuff, more simple stuff.
Yeah.
Simple
I think
stuff.
that's apples and oranges, man.
Everything simple.
I think that's apples and oranges, man, because when you're talking about the United States government and you're trying to attribute it to temple business, that's a flaw within itself, due to the fact that we in the Moorish Science Temple of America, if you've been around long enough, you know that the Moorish Science Temple of America is still in the process to putting it back in shape as the prophet left it. So until we get to the point where the prophet left it, how he left it, then we'll be able to enforce and make laws and move in one accord, so to say. But to try to associate the United States government with a national and divine movement is a mistake in itself, because the prophet set us up in such a way that we have our own laws, customs, traditions, and everything. And to try to make that's a bit off to me. Anyway, so brother, what happened? Whereas though I seen a video, and they were obviously, you just addressed the they say that you're a Sufi 1 minute, they say you're a Rasta the next minute, and it sounds very, very, very. I gotta say, it sounds real petty, but why? Where did the friction come from?
The friction comes from is really a lack of knowledge, people's skills, jealous, and envy. Because I keep telling these Moors, it's been witnessed at my job, it's been witnessed at the temple, it's been witnessed amongst Moors. Keep my name out your mouth. right? If y'all Moors is doing whatever y'all doing, we all brothers. We all come from the same school. So we're supposed to all be out here uplifting, following humanity, and there's enough work for all of us to do. So I shouldn't be having brothers and sisters that I love, that we all love, coming to tell me everything that you're saying all the time. I don't even, because it's hearsay, so I don't really like to hear it too much, but I go right to the individual and ask them to their face. And so after we have these discussions over and over and over and over again, it's just, we just have to separate as far as, as that's concerned.
Oh, so y'all, oh, I get it, I get it. So if you were a part of the, how do you feel about nationalizing a European? If you said you started that temple with the brothers, you know what I mean?
It's
Have
not.
you ever met, have you ever met the European?
No, I never met him, and I don't have anything against him
Oh,
at
no, no, no.
all.
Now, what I'm trying to
But
say
no,
is,
I never met him.
I'm trying to find out what would be the motivation behind nationalizing a person with a nationality, in particular a European.
Well,
What would be the motivation I'm trying to get to? Because there got to be,
the,
for every action, you know what I mean? It's motivated by something. You know what I'm saying? And to
yeah,
say that it's motivated by love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, or that it's motivated by love. That's the only thing that people can use, is that it's motivated by love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. But when we look at our doctrine and our sacred doctrine, the Holy Command of the Moorish Science Temple of America, it's kind of hard to skip over things like that. Every nation must worship under their own vine and fig tree. He's trying to teach his people those things necessary, my people, and he using, Prophet Obadiah Ali using specific terminology to say that
right.
he has come to uplift us, talking about the Asiatics here in America. So from your perspective, what would be the motivation behind to step outside of the criteria which was set by the Prophet Obadiah Ali?
Where are you going, Satan? Islam? Let's keep it real, okay? Let's build for a second, because I like to take it slow. Islam.
Come
But
on,
let's build for a second, Mom. The Prophet Noble Ali in chapter 48, he says, "We as a clean and pure nation, descended from the inhabitants of Africa, do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe. Neither serve the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations, as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation. While we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation." Mo, the bottom line right here is that if you're a Moorish American and you're reading this right here, and it says the pale-skinned nations of Europe. So it's not saying that a brother or sister from Europe, of all of you, came over to America, got raised up in the Moorish Science Temple of America, got a nationality card, and that grand body or whatnot decided to let that Mo go over and teach, you know what I'm saying, gave him some type of authority where he can go to Europe and maybe open up the Moorish Science Temple of Europe, right? Or something like that. But even if he went over there and demonstrated that measure, that Moor would still be nationalizing dark-hued Asiatics or olive hue people of all hues, right? But we know which ones we're talking about. So it still won't be the pale-skinned nations of Europe. See, the Prophet Noble Ali made it specific. He wasn't talking about the European nations. He's just talking about the pale-skinned nations of Europe. For instance, my grandfather was in the service, right? He goes overseas. Of course, he takes my grandmother. My mother is born over in France, okay? Her birth certificate says she's French. She comes back home after my grandfather finishes his service. Her birth certificate still says she is French because she's born over in Europe. But we know what she is. So she's not a pale-skinned European. She's just a European. Islam?
Islam. Well, More, let me.
So, right, hold on, more. So, right here, the Prophet Noble Jarlee is being very specific because he's saying we're giving the church and Christianity back to the European. Now, the church is a building, just like one said they're trying to open up a church. But in order for you to open up a church, you must have a Christian state of mind. Okay?
Yeah.
No church, but Christian. Islam. So when we're talking about that you are more, yeah, you are more by pedigree, but you're a Christian by your state of mind. Okay?
Sir.
That's why you want to open up a Moorish Orthodox church. Who are you, Roman Constantine? Our lessons tell us that the foundation of Christianity began in Rome. The Roman nations founded the first church of whom crucified Jesus to seek it to redeem his people from under the Roman yoke and law. And here you go, wanting to put you want to put the Roman law over the seal of the Moors willingly. Then you're going to say that, well, we opening it up for them. Then we're going to have a body of sheep. See, I heard that part. We're going to have a body of sheep that's really going to be running it. What does that mean? A body of sheep of the Moorish Science of America supposedly are supposed to be running the Moorish Orthodox Church for Europeans? What type of dictatorship is this? And why are you trying to be over the European like that? Like I was telling you earlier when we was talking, that's tyranny, right? The Prophet Jarlee, he says, man who dares enslave the world when he knows he can only enjoy his tyranny but for a moment, what would he not aim at if he were immortal? So here it is that you're trying to use Moorish science to basically teach the European his Irish history. We don't even have time for that in the Moorish Science Temple of America. Just like Yamos was telling them. Islam, the Prophet Noble Jarlee said, in these modern days, there came a forerunner who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach in one of the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Jarlee, who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree, and return to their own, be one with their Father God Allah.
To return to who?
How are you in the Moorish Science Temple of America telling them that you're going to give them nationality with us when the Prophet Jarlee is specifically saying right here they're supposed to return to their own vine and fig tree and be one with their Father God Allah?
Brother, let me.
What you call God Allah? Just like how you open up the show and you said whatever name you call the creator of the universe. So we give you honors for doing that. You don't have to come in here and have ours. We give you honors for you having yours and doing that. Islam.
But let me say a disclaimer. Let me say a disclaimer. The topic that we're talking about is about nationalizing a European. No, it does not in no way, shape, or form say that we hate, dislike, or have a problem with the European or a European or Europeans in general.
No.
Europeans have done what they did, and they do what they do. The only devil which we must redeem ourselves from is self. So what we're doing is we're addressing a topic. So when we address a topic like this, the object of the topic is the European. So we're talking about a European fellow man in such a way that every other sentence you're going to hear European. No, we're not going out aggressive against Europeans, because the European can only do and has only done what we allowed the European to do, and we have allowed ourselves to be subjected to. What we're doing is we're examining what the Prophet Noble Jarlee taught and what applies to the Moorish American Muslim as it relates to the Moorish Science Temple of America. Brother, I'm going to let you come in real quick. I just want y'all to know that this is what we're talking about. Just because you hear European 150 times, a so-called white guy, a so-called whatever, a Caucasian, so-called Caucasian, because you hear that a bunch of times, that doesn't mean that we are stuck on trying to bash or trying to come at a European. That's not it. That's not it. What we're doing is we're examining the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. With that, before I let my brother come in, I want to read something. The Prophet gives us something that is very sacred, that we do not give enough credence to. But we're going to give it to it tonight, and I'm going to read it in its entirety, and then I'm going to let my brother go in.
Go for it.
This applies to all of those who are from the inhabitants of Africa. Whether you be indigenous to this country, whether you be indigenous to Jamaica, or whether you came on a ship, whatever, this applies. This is called the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation. Now listen to what it says. This is a holy covenant. If you believe in a creator in any way and you put holy on something, that means that it's law from the divine. The Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation says, first of all, who is the Asiatic nations? First and foremost, think about that, and I'm going to read it. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care. The breasts of one mother have given ye suck, that the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, he's talking to Asiatic nations now, when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity. And prefer not a stranger before thine own blood. Who is this stranger? Hold up, Albert. Prefer not a stranger before thine own blood. And don't say prefer not a stranger and leave him on the wayside, on the side of the road. All it says is prefer not a stranger before thine own blood. If thy brother, Asiatic, is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. The reason why that we have not reached the fortunes of the great God of the universe is because we're breaking the covenant. We're breaking the covenant. We're preferring a stranger before our own blood. We can't get none of these fortunes due to the fact that we're doing everything against the holy covenant. That's not saying, it says prefer not a stranger before thine own blood. And don't say prefer not a stranger, period. Just not before thy own blood. You look out for home first. And when home is fixed, then you can go help the neighbor. Put the fire out in your house. The fire is raging. It's not saying don't help the neighbor. It's not saying don't help the stranger. We got to help us. Come on, Steve Allen Bay. How you doing, brother? Let's go. It's on you, brother.
Mo. You're exactly right about that, Mo. That's the first thing most Moorish Americans learn when they come into the Moorish Science Symbol of America. It's chapter 25, a holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. Islam, Moor?
Exactly, Moor.
The Prophet Drew Ali, he has a Moorish guide, right? Because, and in this Moorish guide, the Prophet Drew Ali has a lot of statements. A lot of Moors read their Holy Quran, their one-on-ones, their divine constitution and bylaws. That's perfect because that's going to make you a good Moorish leader. But at the same time, you have to read the Moorish guides and the stuff that was put out by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali in the newspaper. We have this article right here. It says demanding ours, right? It said the ideal and calculated in the purposes of the Moorish Science Temple of America is to have everything that belongs to us as a nation that has become part of another nation, just as the same as all other European groups are doing. We must have the history of our forefathers taught to our children. We must have the history of our forefathers taught to our children. We have ceased to calculate our history from the landing of the first 20 or the close of the Civil War. While all records of the tombs in the old world are proclaiming our glory to the nations, they're proclaiming our glory to the nations. We have now come demanding that we be given credit for the great work done in the past by our ancestors. But watch this. We are not asking others to give these records to the world for us, but we demand that such records be broadcasted to the four winds by us and for us. So it's no problem with certain people coming in and listening to us, because we're going to take this to all nations and all lands.
And let me camel back off that real quick. I'm going to read something out of the Moorish Guide also.
Demonstrate.
This is from the Moorish Guide from 1927 through 29. It's called Nationality on Moorish Unity. Listen, Moors, Asiatics and Europeans, listen. Dear brothers, be careful of propaganda and news that you hear. There is a certain movement from the churches to destroy our movement and dishonor me, and that have paid men, both European and Asiatics. Any outside letter that you receive, let me know the message. Then I will know you are a Moor, and I favor Moors. We Moorish must stand in unity. We stand together according to the deeds and actions, not by the words of lips. I want to read this line one more time. Words of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Thank you. Thank you.
Both European and Asiatics have been paid to dishonor the Prophet. He said, when you receive a message, let me know this message, and then I will know you are a Moor. And I favor Moors. We Moorish must stand in unity. And we Moors must stand in unity. We stand together according to deeds and action, not by words of lips. So I'm going to tell you right now, if the Prophet said it, it's law. It's law.
It's gold, bro.
He said, I stand for Moors. I favor Moors. What more do you have to know? Show over.
It's like, Mo, no, Mo, we're going in, Mo.
Go ahead, Mo, you good?
Prophet Drew speak to the nations. And yeah, we parakeeting. I'm a temple Mo. I love my Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I can journey on to everything else, but what did the Prophet say? I can tell you. Forget me. What did the Prophet say? Forget us. What did the Prophet Noble Drew Ali say about this situation? It's Prophet Drew Ali speaks to the nations.
More, real quick. You have to say what the Prophet said, because obviously they wasn't listening. So come on. So come with obviously they wasn't listening.
Right. So let's demonstrate. Prophet Drew Ali speaks to the nations. If you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish symbol of America and become a part of this divine movement. Now let's stop right there. That's not speaking to everybody. He's speaking to his people. Islam. So let's get that disclaimer out right now. Then you will have power to redeem your race, because you will know who you are and who your forefathers were. Because where there is unity, there is strength. Together we stand, divided we fall. He said, come good people, come good people. Not by words and deeds, but come good people with your heart. Because I, the Prophet, sent to redeem this nation from mental slavery, of which you have now need every one of you who think that your condition can be better. This is a field open to strong men and women to uplift the nation and take their place in the affairs of men. We ain't got no nation. This is a school. The Prophet Drew Ali said, use of strong men and women is coming in to uplift the nation and take their place in the affairs of men, not running away from it. He said, if the Europeans and other nations are helping me, why not you? He said they're helping, not saying they was joining the temple. Islam, the Prophet talked about a European that came in and dropped some money down. And he said, I can have some more come and drop some money down. He didn't say he came to proclaim this nationality. Islam. Absolutely. He said, if Europeans and other nations are helping me, why not you? He said, it's your problem. The Negro problem is being solved only as it can, and that is by the Moorish divine national movement. If you have a nation, you must have a free national name. See that? If you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation as an American citizen. Not if you have a nation, you need our national name to be recognized by America, right? And then at the same time, they were saying that when they nationalized this European, that they had a right to make him a true American citizen. I beg to differ, because at the same time, you said that he couldn't be an adept and speak up on the podium. And if you went through certain type of chambers, when you came out of there, you will understand certain doctrines that speak about what a true American citizen is. And we'll get into that in a second. He said, so if you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation as an American citizen. This is what it meant when it says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things shall be added unto you. So we try to have race pride. We're not trying to go against other races or anything like that. We're trying to have a pride in ourselves. And if other people want to come and sit amongst us, so be it. If I want to go and learn and sit amongst the Kung Fu or go learn another school of thought, go do it. But that don't mean that I'm trying to be a part of that nation. It's two different things. I'm going through all the ways of life so I can know how to support my brother that's in need. I ain't trying to join that nation. Go to the school of thought and come back. And at the same time, when they come to learn to us, don't try to make them a part of our nation.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, my brother. I'm looking through all the works of the prophet right now because you got me turned up, my brother. Because a lot of things when I was talking to the brother before, I was kind of let the brother give us an explanation, and it seems as though he wasn't given a viable explanation. I mean, a credible explanation to why he was nationalized. First, he said he wasn't nationalizing; it was a membership card, and I was like, man, a nationality card ain't a bus pass. And then he came back and said he was, I said, it ain't a hall pass. You know what I mean? It's a school, it's a hall pass. So my thing is this. During the time of the prophet, there was a brother named Lomax Bay in Detroit. And during the time of the prophet, things wasn't moving so smoothly in Detroit. Prophet sent the people there to get his keys to the temple there and get that charter. We can't be running around demonstrating more science if we not doing what the prophet said. Name it something else. It's okay. It's okay. Become Moabite Americans or something. You know what I mean? Do something different. But you cannot defile the teachings of the prophet. The prophet message is clear. He comes to a people that is void of nationality, national identity, national principle, national customs, national traditions, etc., etc., etc. Didn't come for the Europeans. Jesus did not come to save Rome. One of the old statements is 2,000 years ago, Rome had me. I have them today. That's one of the old statements. Now, whether it's true or not, but what I'm saying, they've been repeating this statement for years. That's an indication that he came to a specific people, for a specific people with a specific void and illness. We got to fix us, my brother.
Islam, let's get it. Another understanding. Like, the reason we having this conversation right now is because this conversation is still going on, and my phone and my messages won't stop going off, because people know that most Moors used to be chilling. They can go to Facebook and see all the pictures and stuff like that, and now they all hitting me up asking me what's going on.
Well, what this was going on,
and at the same time, they went and did a part 2 to answer what they didn't answer on here, but at the same time mention my name as far as disunity, like, because I have some things to say about the demonstration. The whole nation has some things to say about the demonstration, not just me. You understand what I'm saying? So it was embarrassing to us all, Islam, not just to y'all who don't think it's embarrassing, but it's embarrassing to all of us. So that's why we got to go over these lessons right fast to make sure that we clarify certain things that the Prophet Noble Jurali said, and not just be going on. Hold on one second. The Mo talked about, you know, because it was the Egyptians and the Phoenicians came through, and they became the Carthaginians, and then they went up, and they became the Celts, and the Celts ended up becoming the Vandals, and the Vandals came down, and then that's when the Moors went up, and then mixed in with the Vandals, and that's why he cool. What? No.
That's because they're not reading the lessons of the prophet.
The prophet didn't say that.
When you study the prophet,
the prophet didn't say that.
Bro, when you study the teachings of the prophet of Noble Drew Ali, you already know how it goes. It's like this. We going in and read some scripture and records and articles from the Moorish guide. The prophet is clearly coming for us to try to redeem us. In the article, what should we call him? I'm only going to read half of it, but listen to me, family.
Demonstrate.
It said, what should we call him? And ask yourself, who is the prophet coming to redeem? By the will of Allah. So often, our various journalists find trouble in selecting a proper name for the Moorish American. Some say Negro. Another will brand him race man. Who is the apple of Prophet Noble Drew Ali? Listen to this. Still another will call him Afro-American. Then come colored, dark American, coon, shine, the brethren, and your folks. It is indeed a hard matter to find something suitable for the various occasions where a title needs to be used. Remember that the prophet is saying this in 1927 through 29. So when you hear coon, shine, we don't use those things today. But nevertheless, in context, pay attention who he's trying to deliver. He says, Is it that these people have no proper name? Did they have a national name when they were first brought to these shores? Who is he talking to in the early part of the 17th century? If so, what was it? Did not the land from which they were forced have a name? It now appears a good idea for those whose duty it is to write for various journals to find out what's the national name of the forefathers of these people was. Also look into history of the founders of civilization and see who they were. They stood in building the present civilization. Probably 2 hours in the up-to-date library would serve to relieve the strain on our men of letters. This is dedicated to those who think they know what they're talking about. He said 2 hours in the up-to-date library will relieve the strain on our men of letters. He's talking about the regular people, he's talking about these smart super scholars now, these journalists. He said when the occasion presents itself for the title for these people, the matter of various names given to these 22 million people with all colors of every race of the globe was an act of European psychology. They gave colors to every race, every people, 22 million of race of the globe, whatever, was an act of European psychology. Is that European psychology still at work? Let's go. They gave him a name, then defined it as something inferior to theirs. White, they defined as the color of purity. They defined as a color of purity. Black, they say, represents everything evil. The Negro, as they were called in this nation, have no nation to what they might look with pride. Their history starts with the close of the Civil War, and more properly with his being forced to serve someone else. Why are we still serving someone else? Thus, he is separated from his illustrious history of his forefathers, who were the founders of the first civilization of the old world. This matter should be looked into with the hope of correcting it. Who is the prophet coming to? Who is he trying to redeem? Who is he trying to help? Who is he trying to uplift? That doesn't sound like he's trying to uplift a European. The European is good. Talk to me, brother. When I say good, hold up, don't mistake that. When I say the European is good, he done already got his. We working on that. Who is the prophet coming to? So if you're going to imitate the prophet, imitate the prophet. Or turning your fez, cease wearing your button and wearing your fez, and return back to the state. Don't keep wearing the fez and living in a state of foolishness. You can't do both. It's another brother from Oakland talking about we got to love everybody. Well, we do, but that don't mean we have to nationalize and marry and have babies with everybody. It doesn't mean that. Got me worked up in here. Got me worked up a bit.
Check this out, Mo. Like what you just read, Moor, we have to examine this because what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali says, it's very vast. Though it's a couple little articles, though it's a little bitty pamphlet, this thing right here go like this. It just go into volumes of books. But you got to know how to take each word and each sentence and contemplate it and sit down in silence sometimes and draw for what he's saying. Like for instance, we are not Negroes, black, or colors, right? Black. Black, according to the dictionary, is pale or bleached. So if you're going to nationalize a pale-skinned European, how are you going to nationalize a black man? Because black means pale. According to the English, Gaelic, German, Dutch, bleak, it means to be pale or bleached. So how are you going to bring a pale-skinned, bleached person inside the Moorish tip of America? No offense, it's just what our laws say. Bring them into the Moorish tip of America and nationalize them. You just try to nationalize a black man. Stop a lot.
More. I just keep going in more because we're gonna talk about the prophet all night long. We're gonna keep it going for a few more minutes, about 15 minutes. I want you to go in. Okay, this is another. I'll tell you, I've been around for a minute, brother. I have some access to some stuff. You know what I mean? So I want to read this. I don't know if y'all are familiar with this. Some Moors may be, some people not. I hope y'all get some of these articles. They floating around. But this is the Moorish Guide. This excerpt from the Moorish Guide. This one is called Demanding Hours. This is when the Moors was published in the paper. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali had the Moors distributed newspaper, the Moorish Guide. So this was called Demanding Hours. One more time. Then I'm going to let my brother take us on home. Go on in and let it all out. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali says, the idea inculcated in the purpose of the Moorish Science Temple of America is to have everything that belongs to us as a nation. Let me say it one more time. The idea inculcated in the purposes of the Moorish Science Temple of America is to have everything that belongs to us as a nation, just the same as all other European groups are demanding. You ever read this one, brother?
Islam, yeah. I'm reading with you.
It's showing that other groups are doing their thing. And we need to do our thing as a group. He said, belongs to us as a nation, just the same as all other European groups are demanding. We must have the history of our forefathers taught to our children. We have ceased to calculate our history from the landing of the first 20 or the close of the Civil War, while all records of the times up in the old world are proclaiming our glory to the nations of the earthland. We have come now demanding, I said, Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, that we be given credit for the great work done in the past by our ancestors. We are not asking others to give us these records to be broadcast to the four winds by us and for us. A pride that goes with knowledge of great deeds will serve to cause our posterity to take heart and look into the vast future with hope eternal. Such has never been done. And we know it will require some time before we have created that consciousness in others of our group to assert themselves likewise. But that day is coming when such will be the case. Listen, the consciousness in others of our group. Who is the prophet talking about, man? So I'm telling you, man, if y'all love the prophet and Noble Drew Ali, man, separate yourself and get with a bona fide Moor Science Temple of America so we can get this work done. We need to get this work done. So, brother, I'm going to let you bring it on home, brother. It's 9:51. That's the state of the time tonight. Brother, I'm going to let you bring it on home. Bring it on home, brother. Let it all out because, man, this is not right that we have let others adulterate the teachings of the prophet Noble Drew Ali when everything is written and it came right out of the mouth of the prophet. And it's clear. It's clear. Talk to me, brother.
Islam, Moor. Praise Allah. Honest to you, Moor. Honest to the Holy and Divine Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Honest to Marcus Garvey. Praise Allah, the great God, for sending us here. Honest to all of the great men and women that was there with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, that was after the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, that allowed for us to even be able to hold a holy crown of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to be able to explain to us what our Holy and Divine Prophet Noble Drew Ali was even talking about in all of our limited knowledge. Thank you for everything that you did. Islam, Moor, I wanted to read right here on Act 4. It says, all members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and partial of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5 says, this organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. So we, as members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, we're preserving these holy and divine laws of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Islam, even these holy and divine instructions that come from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali as well. Islam,
brother. Islam.
We're not trying to cause people amongst our people. We're not trying to cause confusion. That's blatant, like disrespect and confusion. Not a more going to learn Islam, or more going to a yoga class, or more taking Tai Chi or something like that, and the more come to the temple with his Tai Chi uniform on and Moses bagging and stuff like that. That's not. We don't demonstrate like that. We're not here trying to push hate against anybody from Europe. We love everybody in the world. We're just talking about our specific nation of people. Everybody in the world knows that the so-called black, colored, and Negro of America need to know how to get together, love themselves, and do for themselves, and they're going to get the respect that they deserve. Everybody knows this. So all we're doing is saying the same thing. Islam. So in that, we want to talk about, let's go here right fast though. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, I, Noble Drew Ali, am responsible for all purchases of land, buildings, etc. Let me, the Prophet, know what is on me. Some of you have slipped drastically. So you have better lace up your shoes before I get there. Every business transaction or anything pertaining to finance is done in the name of the Moorish Science Temple of America or Noble Drew Ali. Do you understand what I say? We Moors must maintain a grand treasure, just as in the days of our forefathers. Then you are a nation. Until then, you are nothing. Furthermore, the emergency fund is issued by no books will buy an emergency car purchase according to the contribution then marked on the book. That is the law, and the law must live. I want to say to the Moorish Americans, after I talk about this demonstration right here first, because the Prophet Drew Ali said, you got everything that you're going to do, it's going to be in the name of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali, not no Moorish Orthodox Church. That's one. See, this stuff is simple. Just listen to what the Prophet said. He'll tell you what type of demonstration you're going to order. And I know that the Moors temple is actually getting shut down over there. Like as we speak, I think it's a post that actually went up talking about that. And I hope that the Moors get it together and also get another spot to be able to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. If they trying to do that, if they trying to do what they keep on doing, stay closed. Islam. But the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is telling us right here that these Moors have slipped drastically. You're not supposed to be doing measures like that. I don't think you're supposed to even be written from a church at the same time. At the same time, they was over there, they also nationalized a queer. You understand what I'm saying? So it's certain things that went over in that temple that I just personally don't agree with, and I just would not do. Islam, because the Prophet Noble Ali, he explains to us about those that was kicked out of the Garden of Eden, right? Then the Prophet Noble Ali explains to us where they went. They went into Asia. Another time, the Prophet Ali had told us that they went into Europe, right? Then he said, what is the modern name for these people? Asiatics. So Asiatics, we know, are the ones that got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Roman modern Asia end up becoming Rome. So we're not trying to help anybody that's demonstrating those lessons of hatred, slander, lewdness, murders, and theft, or anything that harms, because this is what their children, the descendants of Adam and Eve, what they bred. Hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. This is also where you get Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and the beast from our people going outside of themselves, trying to worship gods of Europe on whom they knew nothing. This is how the Moors lost their nationality in 1774, so says the Prophet Noble Ali, because they started grabbing all these customs of Europe and trying to entangle them with us. This is how we lost the strongholds that we had in the ancient world. Islam. So at this time, we're trying to keep a little something for ourselves because we already built vast empires amongst the world. We are the fathers of civilization. Can't we have a little something for ourselves just one time? Islam. So the Prophet Ali, he gives us these lessons and he gives us these clues. You know, they're spiritual clues because we are spirit man. And he's teaching us how to not just read and just say phonetics, no, how to be able to interpret and understand his concepts, because the Prophet Noble Ali said, if I can get you to think, you'll be able to save yourself. Not if you can get your own self to thinking. If he can get you to thinking, you'll be able to save yourself. So that's what we're trying to be able to do. Use the Prophet's lessons to be able to help ourselves so we can be better service to humanity and to the other nations that might need help. If we would get our act together, because we're supposed to be so good and everything else, why can't we be good in spirituality and moral and goodness? Because that's what the higher self breeds. Mercy, justice, love, and righteousness. So this is what we're supposed to be spreading amongst the world. And at the same time, what would I look like trying to be a part of a Korean agency and trying to get them to nationalize me as a Korean? And then the other Koreans is like, what do you, is he from Korea? What do you mean? Like, oh no, we just love everybody and we'll make him Korean. Go like that. Hold on, son. I'm speaking right now. You have different, in the United States, you have the U.S. immigration, right? The citizenship and immigration. So that specific government will set up certain offices to be able to handle those type of citizens. And those type of citizens, so to speak, they will be, if we would go there as a national organization, so to speak, when everything get big. But the Prophet Noble Ali right here let us know that about the Grand Treasury. So if we had this Grand Treasury of all these Moors that watch your show, all these good Moors, we need the Grand Treasury, one place without all the hatred, that we can put some money in for this Grand Treasury.
That's right.
So we can demonstrate property and different things under the name of the Moorish Civil of America and Noble Ali. Also, Moors have to start looking into their family history, because you got a lot of ODs and stuff sitting around that your grandfather and grandmoms and then worked very hard for, and it's just sitting there. So it's a lot of work that we have to do as a nation. But the first thing we must do is understand our 1% share in this organization, all of us. We have to understand that if we all come together under this, because it's an economic demonstration as well. The Prophet said, and to be a real Moorish leader, you must study the Quran, divine constitution that is handed down unto you by the Prophet. No finance business is to be open with any members of any temple, right, by the governor or grand sheikh, whosoever in charge, with the consultation of the Prophet. So every time we trying to open up some type of demonstration, we're trying to make sure that it's a part of the Moorish society and a part of what Noble Ali said to do. Now, Moors don't be understanding on the back of our 101. If you go all the way down to the bottom, the Prophet Noble Jali talks about, see, hers revised statute, chapter 32, 36. Not the whole thing. Stop trying to dissect it like that. Go to 32, 36. See that the Prophet Noble Jali made the Moorish Science Temple of America a body politic. A body politic consists of 7 things. It's a nation, state, county, city, municipality, school district, and public associations. This is all combined in the Moorish Science Temple of America. So if you would simply read what the Prophet Noble Jali said, you will see that you have it all right before your face. Islam, you just open your eyes. Just open your eyes. Islam. So within that, Moors, that's my message to these Moors out here. Love these Moors. Let's get together, put this per capita tax together, but don't say we doing unity and at the same time leave certain Moors out and then call certain Moors names and stuff like that. Let's really get to the unity because our children are looking at us and our lives looking at us most importantly. So let's not embarrass ourselves in front of ourselves or in front of Allah. Islam. Allah more. Thank you for the opportunity to come and demonstrate on this measure. I mean, because we can keep, we can keep going on, but I know you have a specific timeline that you got going on. We can go over as well. But this is not an attack in any organization against the church or mainly, most importantly, against America, because we are Moorish Americans. We love America. We love the land that we were born on, and we also give honors to the American flag. Islam.
I'm gonna tell you right now that we're not going to hear. We're not going to hear the end of this. And my thing is, why are people so pressed to try to fix and redeem others before we step to the forefront and redeem us? It's enough work for all of us to do. And it's enough problems in our community for all of us to address. There is no need to try to go to the neighbor house when our house, we got dishes in the sink, the roof leaking when it rains, the foundation is crumbling, the carpet all running up, the dog sleeping on the couch. We got all sorts of problems in our house. Ain't no food in the refrigerators. Yet we're going to put food in the neighbor's refrigerator. We on the neighbor roof stopping a leak. We smacking their dog upside the head. Get off the couch, Bruno. When we have all these problems in our house, I'm making an appeal. Family. I don't want to believe that you're ill in your intentions when you reach out to other groups of people. If you just tuned in, my brother, any brothers from the Moorish Post, the temple that we're talking about, and you know who you are, I'm not going to say your name, but you know who you are, please go back and look at the whole video. Look at the whole stream so you can see that we're only quoting Prophet Noble Ali. We're not taking jabs at you. We're not being disrespectful, but we disagree. And we disagree according to the teachings of Prophet Noble Ali. So go back. Look at the video. That's why I'm going to stop it. I don't want to go too long because people don't want to go too long and look at these videos that long. I'm going to stop it and go back. I want you to go back and look at what we pointed out. If you don't have the information, email me to harkabay@yahoo.com and I will get you all the Moorish guide information articles that you need so you can see that the prophet would not have done what you're doing. Period, point blank. He don't hate anybody. We don't hate anybody. He don't dislike nobody. We don't dislike nobody. We just put truth on one side, falsehood on the other, and everything falls where they may. That's all I'm saying. Family, if you want to do this work, find a legitimate Moorish Science Temple of America so you can be trained into the ranks of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And that's all I'm saying. This thing is going to work, whether you like it or not. There's nothing you're going to be able to do to stop it. This is the time that the prophet prophesied about, when the Moors are coming into their own, quote unquote. This is the time. So because this is the time, you must take your place in the affairs of men. I'll ask a few more questions in a minute, but you must take your place in affairs of men so you can benefit. Period, point blank. So you can benefit. My thing is this. I am so liberal when it comes to the Moorish Science teaching of America and the doctrines of the Moorish Science Temple of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, that whether you was a quote unquote a part of a grand body or with or without a charter or not, with me, if you're holding the law to the standard, I get it. But once you go outside the laws of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, I don't get it. Because there's no saving power in it. There's some earthly salvation in it. Yeah, you might get some money. Yeah, you might get some followers. Yeah, you might make some small successes. But it won't be eternal. They won't last because it's built on sand. The solid rock is the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's teachings. And with that, I want to answer a question, a few questions. Somebody asked me, Brother Alan, I appreciate you. Any more last word? One more last word, brother. I appreciate you. We're going to do this again real quick.
Islam, Mo. Praise Allah. Yeah, we got to do this whenever, Mo. We could talk on different subjects.
Absolutely.
You can call me about, we can get it in. But this one right here, Mo, man, this was a big one right here. I mean, they wouldn't leave me alone, Mo. So I just appreciate you for letting me just be able to answer this one time so we can let that go.
Well, okay, Mo. Now you can direct them. You can direct them to this. You can correct them to this, because right here we picked out a lot of words that came out of the prophet mouth on this topic. It's not, we didn't call no names. We didn't say, well, I think this, I think that. Everything we said, mostly 90%, without the commentary was 10%, but 90% was what the prophet said. Now, if that ain't good enough, then I don't know what is. But a brother asked me, what do I think about the 5%? Brother, let me tell you something. I hope you're listening. Press 1 if you're listening, because I'm going to say this and I'm going to say this one time, because I don't want to cause any confusion right here now. Now, on the real, what I think about 5%, what you getting out the 5% is this. If you study it closely, you'll see that everything that Father Law taught, Clarence 13X, what he taught was straight out of the doctrine of Elijah Muhammad. He took the pieces that he wanted to teach. With all due respect, he respected his teacher. But he took the elements that he wanted to teach, and he dealt with the mathematics of the situation. And he used that to go into the inner city, the inner hood, the ghetto, and he built the youth up. He was for the youth with those teachers. So what do I think about it? First of all, with all due respect, honor to Father Love, Clarence 13X, honor to the Master Elijah Muhammad. But with all due respect, those are all adapt teachings. Back in the day, there was something that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali used to do. It was called the Adapt Chamber of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And there was different stages of the Adapt Chamber. You had third heaven all the way up to seventh heaven. Now, I'm saying this from my studies, but I ain't going to be pulling out no documentation for you. Just take the concept of what I'm saying. What the Prophet Noble Drew Ali did was he took those bright mind people and took them away from the group so he can instruct them to be leaders. And when he took them from the group to instruct them to be leaders, he gave them lessons that they could digest. Everybody can't digest all the lessons. He gave them these lessons that they could digest. No different when Jesus would take the disciples off into the mountain. He took them into the chamber and gave them these lessons. And when they took these lessons, they came out to the public and they taught the lessons in a language in which regular people, as Jesus said, he came for the common people, that common people could understand. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, there's many things that I could tell you. There's many things. You're not ready for those, as we say. You ain't ready for that. But there was a select few that he took in these chambers and taught them these lessons. So what you're getting some of these adapt lessons. But because you don't know the source, the actual source of them, you don't really know the power, or people don't really know the power of them. And they begin to, as my brother said, parakeet to quote them. But there's a power in these lessons. I'm going to show you how the power works. Brother Lomax Bey was taken to the chamber by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. He was one of the greatest Moorish sheiks within the Moor Science Temple of America at one time. He filled the temple up. I mean, in Chicago, south side of Chicago, he filled the temple up. He was so good with it that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali sent him to Detroit. He did the same thing in Detroit, grocery stores, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, he got so successful that he thought it was him. He thought he did it. He forgot that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave him these high adapt lessons that gave him his edge. And when he went to Detroit, he was so successful. Grocery stores, ice making stores, all sorts of stuff. The temple was busting at the seams. He ain't want to turn the finance over because he thought he did it himself. But that's what these lessons can do. We need to get back to the place where we can go into the adapt chamber and we can teach these lessons, whereas though we can keep them and hold them sacred so we can go and teach them to the public. We're not there yet. Unfortunately, we're not there yet. Why are we not there yet? Because we got people nationalizing Europeans and think it's okay. We got people on YouTube using all sorts of foul language with affairs on. We got people on Facebook with drinks in their hands, blunt in another hand. We got people doing all sorts of stuff. So until the Moor Science Temple of America is reunited, as the Prophet Noble Drew Ali prophesied, that at the back of the Quran, he says, this is...
Verse 12, chapter 40, verse 12.
Verse 12. You know what I'm looking for. These holy and divine laws are from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the uniting of the Moor Science Temple of America. There's going to come a time when we are going to unite the Moor Science Temple of America, and the time is now and is at hand. So just be patient. Join the Moor Science Temple of America. Be faithful. I take the adapt chamber on the road with permission of those who are over top of me. And I think I can get that permission. But you gotta have the name faithful. You got to have the name faithful. That's why these secret lessons been kept back, because there was a time when people wasn't faithful. And people that try to take these lessons and twist them, they can't do nothing with them. All they do is start repeating, sound slick, sound cool. But to answer your questions, I love my brothers in the 5% Nation of Islam. You know what I mean? Knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, freedom, equality, God, build, destroy, born, God, cipher, born cipher. I know the mathematics front and back. I know it's rough. I'm telling you that I can make the connection to these secret adapt teachings, but we have to be careful. We have to be careful. Period, point blank. And Brother Conrad, do the Moorish Science Temples give scholarships to the youth? If I'm not mistaken, my brother in Temple 11 will have more information on that. We will have more information on that. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure, and I'm going to inbox him, and I'll get you that information. But I'm pretty sure he have information on that. He said, so Clarence 13X basically just remixed the NOI and more science and created his own. Well, brother, let me tell you something. What happened is, reality check, when people get frustrated, they usually break off and then do their own thing. It is what it is. It happened in the Moorish Science Temple of America. It's not only just Clarence 13X in the Moorish Science Temple of America. We're talking about an issue right now because brother broke off and did their own thing. It happens. My thing is, I'm not going to break off. I'm going to stick with and fix what I can fix. The elders not going to run me away because they think a certain way. The young guy is not going to run me away because they think a certain way. I'm going to keep it Moorish to the bone. You know what I mean? In front of an elder, with all due respect, Islam, Moor. Islam, Moor. I know you've seen it that way, but Moor, take a look at it like this. That's what my elder. With the young guy, have you lost your mind? Moor, let me show you. See, it's all about respect, you know. So I want to say, man, hopefully, Moors, I see y'all on the next show. I'm going to have my brother back real soon. I'm trying to get a show coming up for Sunday. We're going to talk about the indigenous Moor of America. That's what I'm working on right now, the indigenous Moor of America, because all of us didn't come on the ship. That's all I'm saying. All of us did not come on the slave ship. And so the next show that I'm working on is the indigenous Moor of America. And I hope y'all be here, brother. Are you familiar with that topic, my brother?
Islam, I got pictures and all type of info that I'm going to send you for that show. Don't even worry about it.
Boy, you might have to come on here with me more because I want to teach the people of our people, man. I want to do it on Sunday. As long as nothing comes up with another topic, because sometimes people may do some things during the week before Sunday come, and before you know it, here I go talking about that. But for now, I think the show is going to be talking about the indigenous Moor in America. So if I can get you some literature, I'm going to work on that. TahakaBay@yahoo.com. Hope y'all can help me out with the GoFundMe so we can do some things. I appreciate y'all. And I'm telling you, I'm going to say again, I'm not no super scholar. I just want to inspire you and direct you in the direction that someone directed me in. And real quick, a brother direct, the reason why I teach like I teach, I don't try to give it all away, but the reason why I teach like I teach, because I used to rap back in the day when I was about 17. I used to rap real hard. And a brother gave me some lessons and said, stop using the N-word. Stop calling girls bees. Stop doing this. Take this, see if you can put this in a rap. And what he did was he gave me the thing that I read tonight, What Shall We Call Him? And I put it in a song. That was in 1990. I've never put down more signs since. Period, point blank. I went astray a couple times. I had sauce up to my lips talking about, praise the Lord, I'm going to stop drinking. I did some foolishness. And back in the day, I did some foolishness. However, I was giving them apples that was pleasant to the sight, but they was full of bitterness and gall. So I let all that stuff go. And 10 years ago, I mean, regardless, all the years I've been temple back and forth, this group of more, that group of more. 10 years ago, I said, I am going to give this a concentrated effort, uncut raw. If my mother don't like it, she gonna have a problem with me. If my brother, my sister, my father don't like it, they gonna have a problem with me because I'm lacing my boots and I'm going all in. And from that point on, my whole life changed. You know what I mean? My whole life changed. Reality check, I'm gonna say this and I'm out here. My top 5 MCs. My top 5 MCs.
Islam.
I'm not even going to listen. My favorite rapper is Tupac all time. But he's not my top 5 MC. When I think of an MC, I'm thinking about someone that can really, really play with them words and spit them bars. So I'm going to say 5. Got to be Big Pun. Number 4. See, I'm a little old school. It got to be G-Rap. Cool G-Rap. Number 3. It got to be Biggie. They like, huh? Number 2, Nas. Number 1, Rakim. That's it. That's it. But Tupac is my favorite rapper. Tupac was the conceptual rapper that I could listen to and just get motivated with anything. If a female got me mad, you claim to be your wife. If they got me mad around the block, I hit them up. If the sister was looking bad and down and out, Brenda got a baby, but Brenda really called her name a damn shame. You know what I mean? If I wanted to hear some knowledge, oh man, Jay Electro, my man. Oh man, Ice Cube too. I gotta get out of here, boy. We gonna do this again. We gonna do this again, boy. Hey, peace and love to my brother. I appreciate y'all. Jada, man, come on, man. I love y'all, family. We're going to do this again. Hopefully, my brother be on with me Sunday. He said he will, so we're going to do what we got to do. Peace and love. Please support.
Peace and love. Islam, Moorish. Praise Allah.